Ready? Okay. And you said Commissioner Brooks will be joining us a little bit later, so, okay. And I guess I will call the June 9th, 2025 meeting of the Meridian Township Planning Commission to order. First item on our agenda is the roll call. Commissioner Rombeck.
Here.
Commissioner McCurtis.
Here.
Oh, sorry. Didn't see that you, sorry.
Here.
Really not putting you on the spot. Commissioner Snyder.
Here.
Commissioner McConnell.
Present.
And Commissioner Fowler.
Here.
Okay, and the chair is here. Commissioner Brooks will be joining us shortly. Thank you. Next on our agenda is public remarks. If you are here to speak on something that is not subject to a public hearing and would like to speak now, please fill out a green sheet and come forward. Seeing nobody, we will move to approval of the agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as distributed.
Thank you.
Second.
Commissioner McDonald, moved by Commissioner McConnell, second by Commissioner McCurtis. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and now we are to approval of the minutes of the April 28th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. Entertain a motion for that.
I move to approve the minutes from April 28th.
Thank you, Commissioner McCurtis. Is there a second?
Support.
Thank you,
This is getting to be a habit.
I like it. Any discussion about the minutes? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of approval as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Take a real quick point of privilege to say, as I was reviewing the minutes, I realized, Commissioner Fowler, that it isn't noted that we formally welcomed you to the Planning Commission. So I would like to today correct the record, not for those minutes, but to today welcome you to the Planning Commission. And
Thank you.
say we're glad to have you here and look forward to working with you more. Thank you. Okay, communications. Anything come in since the?
You have none.
Okay, thank you. And now we are on to item 7, public hearings. Item 7A is a special use permit number 25009 for Ace Hardware outdoor storage.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Zoom in here. Special use permit number 25009, Okemos Ace Hardware to allow outdoor storage and retail sales at an existing hardware store at 3544 Meridian Crossing Drive. It's pretty straightforward. The hardware store is in operation from a zoning perspective. They're zoned commercial, so they're allowed to ask for a special use permit to do the outdoor storage. There's really no issues except with the standards for outdoor storage. So there's 2 pictures that I'm going to bring to your attention. The staff took, and this is from the east side of the building, and I've zoomed in as much as I can, but there's fencing around this material, and you can get in from the store, and then there's a gate on the south side of the fencing as well. This is on the south side of the store and the main entrance, and you can see these pallets and these chairs and some firewood stacked there. So by the standards of a special use permit for outdoor storage, it is supposed to be enclosed in an enclosure. So part of it is not. But the applicant is here, can speak to this. There really isn't an environmental issue or traffic issue or anything like that. Like I said, the store is in operation. So really, that's what I have to say. I can answer questions. I can turn it over to the applicant.
Okay, does anybody have questions for Mr. Shorkey?
Just one question.
Go ahead, Commissioner McCurtis.
Maybe it's for the applicant, but will there be any type of attempt to enclose these items on the south side, or is it?
Just an applicant question. There wasn't anything in the application indicating that.
I thought I read something about wood beams, that there was some metal vertical metal bar fence that currently exists, and then the south side was going to be wood beams. I'm looking forward to seeing those
Okay,
renderings from the applicant.
that would be a more accurate statement. Okay.
You noted that I don't want to call it a variance, but it did not, whatever, the lack of fencing here did not cause staff a concern with the permit, like? 'cause
Oh, no,
right
no,
up-
it doesn't meet the SUP standards.
Okay.
You may still approve the SUP.
So we have
But it's
this-
my job as staff to say, we have a standard that outdoor storage has to be enclosed. This is not enclosed.
Okay, so we do have discretion in this matter.
Yes, you can find that this is integral to the operation of a hardware store. You could compromise and say the stuff on the sidewalk's okay, get it off the entrance sidewalk. There's different ways to go at that.
Thank you.
Maybe this is a question for staff. I feel like I do see instances of outdoor storage in other sites in the township, seasonal, groceries and others, but it's not a regular code compliance issue,
Well,
or is it?
it's not a code compliance issue that I've been made aware of in other locations. I was asked to compare and contrast to another larger hardware store in the township. I found evidence of a special use permit for, hold on. In 1997, the garden center area was approved, and outdoor storage approved for the garden center area at Home Depot. The condition being that it remained within the enclosure. And having worked at that Home Depot, I know very well, there's a lot of outdoor storage going on there. That never received a special use permit, nor have I found any violation, recent, in the last 3 years, violations.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Shork here, would we like to hear from the applicant?
I would.
Okay. And we do this before we start public comment, if there's anybody here to, yes.
You do have someone here to speak to the next application. I do
Okay.
not have any green forms for this application.
Okay, perfect, thank you very much. Please introduce yourself if you would, and then.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. My name is Laura Genovich. I'm an attorney with Foster Swift, and I represent the applicant. I also have Cutler Martin and John Brown here from the applicant as well, who have a lot of the on-the-site knowledge. But I wanted to first echo the planner's comments that this is, from our perspective, largely a straightforward application where the retail use is permitted by right, but we need the special land use permit just for this limited outdoor retail use that is very common with a hardware store. Probably any hardware store, big or small, that you've been to has some outdoor seasonal sales. As you can see, things like lawn chairs or mulch coming into the other seasons, ice melt and things like that. And those are integral to Ace Hardware's operations. So I'll focus my comments on the enclosure issue. We did note in the supplement to the application that the intention for that compliance factor is to enclose, if necessary and unless waived by this planning commission, that currently unenclosed area with what would be cinder blocks with wood planks in between them, which allows it to be changed out. Because obviously the inventory there changes with the seasons, so a permanent installed fence would make it somewhat difficult. But that would, from our perspective, satisfy the ordinance's requirements, make sure there's some blocking there so people, I suppose, don't walk into it. But otherwise, we think that would be adequate to meet the ordinance's language concerning enclosure. Alternatively, if the Planning Commission wanted to waive that requirement or waive the requirement for part of it, certainly we would appreciate that consideration as well. We're happy to do what the Planning Commission requires to make sure we can continue to have these important outdoor retail sales.
Thank you. Any questions from Ms. Genovich?
I want to hear how you move the rocks.
The cinder blocks?
Yeah.
That's a John question.
How you move the blocks that the rails run through?
Oh, cinder block.
Yeah. Oh, okay, just straight cinder block.
Can you come up to the
I'm
microphone?
sorry, yeah, if you wouldn't mind coming up.
Since it's recording, they need you at the microphone.
Thank you.
I know, sorry.
Besides, you came all this way this evening.
Give us your name if you would and your address, and then we'll.
My name's John Brown, and to answer the question, the cinder block, if you turn them sideways, they've got holes on both sides. So I would take, like,
Landscaping.
am I allowed to say the Home Depot?
I just did.
What they do in their garden center is they take railroad ties between the two cinder blocks. So I can go as high as you need or as low and make a fence.
Cool.
Thank you.
I'm gonna say something.
Good, thank you.
John and I work together, so. One Ace is local, it's
I'm
not.
sorry,
Could you note your name, please?
Cutler Martin.
Thank you.
So One Ace is local, so we appreciate the consideration. We're not like Home Depot, so we're a small, locally owned shop. And two, we wanted to show, and when we talked to the township initially, this is how it looks now, and this is how the operations are now. So if you guys do waive it, the operation would continue as is in this spirit or in this sense. I think it looks better. I care about the aesthetics. We care about, obviously, what people, drive by, what they think of our store. We want them welcome to come in. And so we switch this product out daily, if not, multiple times a week. So it's not something that, we sell a pallet of mulch every month. Someone might come in on a Saturday and need 15 bags and 3 or 4 people and it's gone. So this is something that's constantly rotating. We're constantly rotating the sales. And it really, it is an integral part of the hardware store. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, thoughts, comments?
May I ask a question?
Please, yes.
Do you take the stuff in at night, or does it stay out on the sidewalk? Because being out there, I'd be kind of surprised if you're leaving those lawn chairs out overnight and things like that.
Yeah, so it is left out overnight. These types of items, whether it's potting soil or mulch or lawn chairs, every once in a while during the day, we might put some more valuable items out, like a grill or something like that, which is in this area. Depends on the time of year. Wintertime, there's much less that's on the sidewalk. We might have a couple core items that are out there, weather dependent, obviously. But no, this is left out there. Those pallets are quite heavy, and there's not very many places to keep them.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Any other questions?
I think this is a question for staff. I've seen a number of places where they have outdoor sidewalk sale, things for sale that don't appear to be fenced in. So it does seem that our enforcement of this either is inconsistent or people have a lot of existing grandfathering of waivers. So I'm curious, do you know the reason for the fencing? Is it an aesthetic thing? Is it a protection of pedestrian thing? Is it, what was the rationale behind the standard? And if you don't know, that's okay. I'm just curious because I have no idea and I'm not sure.
There's no note in the zoning ordinance saying why that standard was put in place. I imagine it's some of all of it, and at an outdoor storage of scale, you want to delineate that area and keep traffic from going in there. Frankly, I don't think that's a problem here. It's on the sidewalk. But you also have an aesthetic thing. Sometimes this isn't the case here, but sometimes you have outdoor storage next to some sort of maybe a multifamily or residential setting. You want to, kind of beautify that. Nothing's coming to mind immediately, but there are different reasons. But
I guess I'm just not familiar enough with the why to know the implications or the inferences of a waiver. Like, if we said, no, you don't have to do that, and then all of a sudden it became really unattractive, is there recourse that, once we grant this, is it done, or if we did, or is it
another tact that you could, if you didn't have a philosophical problem with what you're seeing in this picture, you could, as a condition, attach like a geographical area, like we're okay with it, but it can't go beyond X feet from the door or beyond the sidewalk, like you can't go onto the that kind of a thing. So you could mitigate it that way.
Just as a comment, if you don't mind, we do have one area that we're asking for that is on the pavement that's off to the side. We had like 3 or 4 parking spaces, is that correct? That's about right. And we could easily, we have more, so I'll give some context to this. So this is a small store. So a lot of times people are coming in for the convenience aspect of it. So people are in and out. So our parking is not an issue. Typically, people are coming in, spending 10, 20 minutes at the top end, probably at a store this size. So we don't have a lot of the parking issues that some of the other retailers may have. And so on the side, which would be the west side of the building, I think it is in our application, we have asked for, I think, 3 or 4 parking spaces. Now, we don't have any immediate, we're not planning on using it in any immediate future, but we're asking for it now if the case may be in the future, if we do need some overflow for that approval, which we can also put the beams around and, kind of enclose it off as if it's in the fence area. In terms of how people use the front walkway, it's kind of a unique setup. It's, 3 wide sidewalks, so we still have the center sidewalk that people can walk through. In a lot of ways, it's easier for them to grab the soil or grab the mulch without having an enclosure around it. So obviously that would be the preferred. Making sure that we're keeping it neat and tidy is our rule of thumb for our people. But more or less, obviously, whatever you decide. And if you change your mind in the future, give me a call. Or give John a call, I should say.
Any other thoughts, questions? I mean, today's just a public hearing, so I think this won't be decided tonight, but,
I have a question. In this picture number 2, I see the handicap parking space. I mean, where are the other handicap parking spaces at?
I think there's one I believe there's another one to the left of what you see there. And there's a number of them throughout the center. This is part of a 60,000, I think, square foot retail center. We have so there were 3 tenants before we took this space. We're in about 12,000 square feet of the center. And so our parking wraps around on the side. So there's a number of handicap spaces depending on, where someone's going to access from.
Sure. I don't know if we can maybe scroll up, but picture 1, I don't recall. Yeah, I don't see any there.
No.
So
That's
not the main.
That's on the
that's
side.
what I thought. So I guess the main entrance would be the second picture.
That is correct.
And that would be one of potentially 2 spots. We just can't see the other one to the left. Is that correct?
John, do you know if there's 2 or 3 spaces?
There's actually 3
Okay.
on that side, and then there's another 2 on the flip side.
If you could come to the microphone.
West side.
So it gets on the recording, yeah.
I'll get in line.
There you go.
If I recall right, to the left of that, there's 2 on the south side of the building, and then if you were to go on the west side of the building, there's an additional 2 there.
Okay. My only concern looking at this is just if I were pulling into that parking spot, or even the non-handicapped spot on the far right, which looks like next to a pallet of Miracle Grow. Use a lot of that myself. I just, as a consumer, I might find that a little cumbersome trying to open my door there, but that's how you want to set that up. But I'm more concerned with the handicap parking space there is all.
Sure.
Because you just don't know the inside of the vehicle when someone's pulling into that spot, how they need to use that spot, getting a passenger in and out of that side. It just looks impassable to me. So,
Yeah, I mean, certainly, it would not be in Ace Hardware's best interest for customers to not be able to get out as well. So that would be situated so they could. I think parking would have been reviewed as part of the approval of the use by right for the retail. So I know staff did a review of adequate parking for that. The other, going back to the comment before on aesthetics, if there were a concern about the aesthetics and like, it's beautiful now, but what if it looks like not as beautiful in 9 months. I mean, another option as part of that condition is a periodic review, right? Where we can come in with photos and say, look, it's been 12 months, 24 months, this is how it's going. So if there were a concern or complaints or the aesthetics change, this planning commission could decide, yes, you do need to have that barrier.
The other thing I'll add, just in the parking space, is that people seem to use that parking space with how it's set up, and, I mean, I've seen people park there personally. We've never heard a complaint, but obviously we want to make sure that passengers can get out of their vehicle safely.
Thank you.
Just for fun.
Yes.
Can you say a few more words about how traffic tends to circulate on the site? I mean, we look at different shopping centers and things, and I'm just curious personally, how do most people come in and how do they go around, and what's your experience with that?
Yeah, I would say that a lot of people come in off of Okemos Road. I think that there's a right-hand turn, right-hand in, right-hand out there. I personally see a lot of people come in and out that way. You do get people on off Jolly that turn in. The entrance is probably, I'm going to guess here, but a couple 100 feet down. So they feed up. Starbucks is on the far end, and the entryway is probably in the middle between us and Starbucks, somewhere along the lines. And I'd say less filter in that way, but a number still filter in there. And we'll see people parked on the side. Most people park out front. There's another row of parking. So almost point of view where the camera is situated here, there's probably 15 parking spaces plus or minus along the row there. So it's never really too crowded and this is really, peak season, hopefully continue to grow and get more traffic, obviously, but I would say that the parking situation is quite spread out for when people are visiting the store. So more off Okemos and then a number off Jolly, but I'd say less so. Would you agree, John?
Yeah.
And your address is on Meridian Crossing.
I believe the center is called Meridian Crossings. I'm not sure.
The street address is right.
The street address is Meridian Crossings, okay.
And some people may access the site coming that way for some.
Yeah.
Does that ever happen?
You want to speak to that? I don't see many people come off the back side of it. I'm sure people do filter through, especially locals, as they know it, but a lot of people traversing, coming off the main roads, Jolly or Okemos, I'd say the main points. But from time to time, yeah, people are on the back side, I would imagine. We just don't see them as much because we have product along the wall, so we can't see over there.
All right, thank you. Shut up.
Anyone else have thoughts, questions? Okay, I guess there's nobody here to do public comment for this item, correct? Okay, then we can close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it. At 6:50.
By the way, the guy just sold me a still. Oh, good guy? Good. Good job, I appreciate it.
This would be the point where we would normally do a straw poll to help Mr. Shorkey know what type of resolution to bring to us at our next meeting. And people feel ready to do that, or is there more that you'd like to discuss?
I guess I'm just curious with this SUP, I guess, is it just inherent in the SUP that the expectation is that there's a fence? I'm still not clear on that. It doesn't seem fair considering there are so many establishments that don't have them. I don't really understand. I'm just being honest.
This is a legit question, because I
Kroger.
I literally stopped somewhere on my way here that had stuff all out on their sidewalk and
There's
no
so few
fencing.
with fencing, I would never have known that that was a thing we were supposed to have.
Agreed.
My job is to tell you what the standard is. You've been given options. If you didn't want to make them put a fence in on their sidewalk and block people from their entrance, I get that. But you've been given options on how to handle this, and I'm not prepared to speak about other sites in the township. I'm prepared to speak about this one.
Okay.
And I don't want to throw any other great retail under the bus either.
I'm not trying to do that either. It's just.
Right, but no, it has been inconsistent. My personal feeling is that to try to put fencing in the space where we have picture number 2 would actually create more of the issue that Commissioner Snyder was talking about in terms of restricting access around and limit, it would make it less functional and probably more cumbersome.
And less aesthetically pleasing.
Yes, all of those things. But then when I hear that part of the request is for potentially expanding into some parking spaces on another side of the building, then I would want to see fencing surrounding anything that was in an area where a vehicle might traverse so that somebody at night, is that something that we could?
Yes,
for?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I would love to suggest that as an option if others would be willing to entertain that as a kind of compromise solution.
That makes sense to me.
All right.
Yeah, I was going to comment that I almost wish there was a way for this not even to fall under because of the lack of ease of enforcement. It's not an easy thing to enforce in the state. Like, I'm against more fencing. Like, I know the idea of a cinder block and road tie, but of like 6 months down the road in Michigan weather, that looks terrible. Or it gets dirty and it just says, no offense to you guys, I'm sure you'd maintain it best you could, but there's only so much you can do. So I remain anti-fence.
I like the fencing that's shown in picture number 1. That's part of the development. I think
Yeah.
gives it a nice clean look, but I think
Yeah, I do wonder if, in looking at picture number 2, if it would be possible to relocate those pallets off of that peninsula. Just again, potentially for accessibility reasons. And especially if there is going to be product expansion into those 3 or so parking spots on the west side of the building. I don't know if that's going to be more problematic for the business. It's not my intent.
Well, just to clarify, and you can't tell it a lot from the picture, but, this, of course, is accessible from the front. There are accessible side ramps as well, if I remember correctly.
There's enough.
Like, this is curb. You're not getting up on that curb anyway with a mobility issue.
Sure.
In this case, they could come out and go around, or they'd come in and go this way, like the walkway's designed.
Sure, I understand
And
that.
I'm not trying to say you're wrong, I'm just pointing out that maybe the picture's
Right.
not clear.
I echo other comments I've heard from other commissioners that I can think of many places that I find firewood for sale outside the front door. And I believe that cage is probably gas bottles that are being purchased or exchanged. And so I'm pretty reluctant to start imposing standards that we are all familiar with a lot of what would then be non-compliance. So I can almost imagine an argument for a safety standard that the stacks not be too high, But yeah, if I'm going to accidentally open my door, I'd much rather be a bag of fertilizer than a fence. So,
It's better than a cinder block.
I think we are scratching our heads trying to figure out, is this an issue we want to regulate, and if so, how? Before we start granting a wonderful offer to put up some kind of fencing that you don't normally see. So those are my thoughts at this point.
Okay. Welcome, Commissioner.
I think we should assign township staff to do a survey of every retail establishment in the county.
We just hired an intern, and
Sounds like a wonderful summer project. So I think, does that give you enough direction to be able to write a resolution? Well, we haven't even done a straw poll yet, but,
no, but it sounds like I'll put together a resolution on the south side, keep it in the paved area, maintain pedestrian access. And on the west side, if you do expand, temporary fencing as explained, with the cinder blocks and the beams.
In the park.
for the duration of the expansion of that temporary, of that outdoor, to, you know, because one of the things with, it's not, this is what we're talking about, you know, ordinances philosophically. A lot of time, well, you know, maybe it is sliding under the radar, but now you want to do something. Well, now you've got to bring everything up to standards. And this, it's not just outdoor retail at that point, right? It's, everything has to come up. That's why we have variances sometimes. But anyway, if that sounds like a path forward, that's kind of what I'm hearing out of this conversation. If you want to do a more formal straw poll vote, that's fine, but I can put that resolution together.
I mean, I don't know that we need to do a straw poll. I think we.
So the process, this was the public hearing. They're not allowed to actually make a formal vote tonight. I'm going to go back. I'm going to write a resolution. We'll be back in 2 weeks. That's when they'll vote. The public hearing has been had, so that's not going to reopen. And you heard the conversation and what I'm going to put together. Okay?
Thank you very much. All right. Welcome, Commissioner Brooks.
Hi, apologies for being so late.
Oh, no, we appreciate you being here at all. This is great.
And we won't think you rude if you don't stick around. I promise.
Yeah, oh, yeah. You're welcome to leave if you, yeah. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you. Thank you. Good call. We are now on to item 7B on our agenda, which is planned unit development, number 25012 Hewlett Road Estate.
This I will give to you.
Thank
Who
you.
wants to speak at the
Okay.
public hearing.
And if there's anybody else who would like to give public, I guess you are the person here to give us public comment. We'll call you up in just a moment after we hear from staff and the applicant. Thank you. Opening this public hearing at 7:01.
To get through, you see the plan they were talking about, which a good planner would have brought that up and showed you. Was in your packet. This is planned unit development number 25012, Hewlett Road Estates. This is to develop a PUD, planned unit development, consisting of 6 single-family residential units on approximately 5 acres located at 5360 Hewlett Road, north of Jolly Road, kind of across the street from Okemos High School. Very simply, this was here in front of you, in front of this board previously, PUD number 22-014, August 4th, 2022. That planned unit development went through the approval process, meaning you guys gave a recommendation, it goes to the board approved it. That put them into site plan review, and during the putting together of said site plan, the planned unit development expired. There is communication in there from the Ingham County Road Department, the Ingham County Drain Commissioner's office on this. We didn't have that in 2022, and I don't have anything else to say. The cul-de-sac that's going to be built, it's being done as a PUD, so that can be done my understanding is a private drive, because the road department doesn't want to accept it. And the applicant is here to speak about the project.
Thank you.
I should note that of those 5 new houses, that is the historical farmhouse on the site. One of the 6 is the historical farmhouse. So it's preserved.
Any questions for Mr. Shorkey? Would you like to hear from the applicant? Okay. Sure. And I believe you're here to speak on behalf of the applicant?
Mr. Jager.
Mr. Jager, please come introduce yourself and let us know what you plan to do.
Yes, my name is Jim Jager. I'm with Jager Homes. I live at 15098 Seniors Court, Bath, Michigan. This was a plan that I submitted back in 2022. Unfortunately, I did not, I guess I missed my expiration date, and I didn't ask for an extension, which I could have had, but I just didn't realize that time just flew by. So I'm still actively, we met with the Road Commission and the Drain Commission, and pretty much got all the bugs worked out with the Drain Commission. It took a long time to do that. One of the big things took a long time when there was a pond in the meadows that we were supposed to put any water from our pond to their pond, and then it goes to the Dingman drain. Well, that took me about almost a year to find out that the Meadows decided that they couldn't approve it, so I found a different alternative method to get the Dingman drain, in which right now it's, I met with a drain commission, and they said that they will, they see no reason why that won't be approved. They were just checking through a few things. So basically, once it gets through the process, it should be moving forward fairly quickly. That's usually the process. So, but it's a nice development. I'm leaving the farmhouse that's there. I think it was built in 1860. I'm doing a little renovation on it, adding a garage to it, updating it with public water and sewer, putting a garage on it, and getting some updates in the unit and keeping that there as a nice historical addition to the community. And then the other ones will be nice homes for the Okemos residents right across from the Okemos High School.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Jagger?
I would love to hear more about the plans for the existing farmhouse. It sounds wonderful. What are you thinking?
I'm just basically going to add a two-car garage to it, update some interior amenities. There's good foundation on it, so I'll probably just replace the carpet that was there and with maybe an LVP floor, and
Would it be inhabited?
Pardon?
Would it be lived in?
Oh, yes, of course, yes. It's a very habitable spot. I mean, the people who bought it had it before lived there, and they were one owners, so it's been, it's a really excellent condition for an old home.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is neat. Any other questions? Okay, that sounds good. Do we want to do a straw poll? on this?
this is a public hearing.
Oh, this public, I'm sorry. Thank you. I will, thank you, Mr. Jagger. We may have questions after we hear public comment, but we'll call the person up who is here.
Thank you.
Thank you. I momentarily spaced, I'm so sorry. Mr. James Carter. Thank you. If you give us your name and address, and
Yeah,
then you
James
have
Carter.
3 minutes to speak.
2296 Hewlett Road.
Thank you.
I've lived in Okemos about 30 years now, last 24 at the current address. And had some questions for the applicant, because this is not my first rodeo with all these subdivisions and whatnot going in along Hewlett Road. And what happens is you get this heavy truck traffic coming from the north or coming from construction sites going back north. And it tears up the road because there's no policing on a no truck route. So the question I have for the applicant is, he aware of the ordinance involved?
Yes.
And I'm sorry, I should have said that we do not normally interact during public comment. This is time for you. So commissioners may decide to ask questions, but and
Okay.
you're welcome to have
Okay, so the comment is,
Please address the chair.
okay, the ordinance says for a truck to be on a no truck route, they have to take the shortest route from where they're going or where they're coming from to the nearest truck road, which in this case would be Jolly Road, because you're almost right on the corner. So there's no excuse for any heavy truck traffic going up and down Hewlett Road except for that little corner going to Jolly. So the question I would have for the applicant is, how is he going to mitigate that truck traffic? I've got some suggestions. He could put on a big sign where his truck stuff going in and out have to go to Jolly Road. Maybe get waivers, or not waivers, but sign contracts with his contractors, subcontractors, that they have to promise not to go down Hewlett Road taking a shortcut. And then the other question I'd have for the applicant is, when is he going to start the construction of this? Because, as most of you are aware, Hewlett Road is going to be repaved next year. And the purpose is to put in a road to clear up all the damage that's already been done. So, it might be worthwhile to say, well, hold off the construction until the road's done, or, how you going to handle that?
Okay, thank you.
And I'd like to work with anybody that you guys think I need to work with from the township to mitigate all this.
Thank you very much. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. We don't have any other public comment, but any other thoughts, questions for staff or Mr. Jagger? Actually, we can close our public comment at 7:11. It's been 2 weeks and I'm out of practice here, sorry. Any other thoughts or comments from planning commission members?
No.
Okay,
I have a question.
go ahead, Commissioner Brooks.
Mr. Shorkey, I feel like we don't see a lot of PUDs, and I know it's been a while since we've seen this one. Can you just give a broad overview of PUDs?
Broadly speaking, a planned unit development allows flexibility in the design in return for preservation of open space. This would not be developable in this way without the PUD. Could not get the 6 lots. And not the way that he's proposing to do it, because you got to build the street. A PUD, the township allows a private road in a PUD. So not in a conventional development. So that's basically the high-level view of it. He's giving up, he's permanently dedicating open space around the edges of the development. He's protecting the 40-foot buffer around the wetland on the southeast corner, and protecting, by virtue of that, protecting the pond. And then in return, he's developing the site to 6 lots.
Okay. And then this would connect, the PUD then would connect to the public utilities?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got if you want to see what it looks like, since I didn't do it last time, whoops, here. Should be in here. Yeah, here's an example. So all this hatched area is permanently preserved open space. To the point that was made about the traffic, I'd like to address, I think it's a legitimate point. Jolly Road is right here to the south. It's just real short distance up. I'll show you, not on that, I'll show you on this. Let's see, here's the site that we're talking about, Jolly Road, Okemos High School. You would just come up Jolly Road to Hewlett to this point, come back here, go back, and then either go this way to Hagedorn or this way to Okemos.
Can you, so we approved this in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And so like broadly, what were I don't recall, I saw some of the communications from the Drainage Commission. So broadly, what were the problems again?
As explained by the applicant, and I can let him talk more detail, the Drain Commission wanted their stormwater to end up in a certain place. Working with the Drain Commission's office to get it to that place proved to be more challenging than originally thought. There's also conversations with the Ingham County Road Department connecting to their road system with his drive.
Right.
There were I can't speak to any issues on the planning side of it, because I don't think we ever got an official site plan.
Okay.
Or maybe we did and we sent comments. Maybe we did get, yeah, maybe we did. Yeah, we did get it. Yeah, we didn't, I apologize, it was 3 years ago. We did receive a site plan, that you did actually begin the process of site plan approval. We sent comments. I don't remember the specifics of what we sent, but I don't remember anything that was deal breaking on our end. Something to, make sure there's sidewalks around the cul-de-sac kind of thing.
All right.
That sounds familiar.
And just to clarify, nothing in an approval of a PUD, we wouldn't have sort of a space to add in anything about truck traffic, but that is already an existing ordinance. So if there were violations of that, I would assume someone in the township could, take those reports and address them if there was truck traffic going on portions of the road where they weren't supposed to consistently.
Road jurisdiction is the road department,
Okay.
but I would, if you would like to make that a condition of your approval, I would urge that.
Okay.
Brian, Mr. Turkey, do you know, he mentioned heavy truck. Do we know what a heavy truck is defined as?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Not here as I stand here, I'd have to research the issue.
Well, I'm just thinking of it this way, so if we think
I'm not
about-
thinking it's a typical work truck.
No, I'm thinking-
But,
Like an earth mover or.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking about the practicality of going down Hewlett Road the other way. There's that cul-de-sac you hit pretty quick.
yes.
And I've seen people struggle in a big truck nonetheless, in a big standard truck. I don't think a heavy-duty truck would necessarily even be able to get through there.
Thus why I'm suggesting, I used to work for a road commission. The ordinance is on the books, there are dedicated truck routes. Just saying that, in response to, in your approval, just in the response to the to the public comment,
Yeah,
it would be fair to say just maintain that ordinance.
I would assume the presumption would be if you issue a PUD, that the applicant is required to follow any and all laws and other ordinances that follow, right?
Right,
So
but
it's-
then, so the question becomes enforcement, and the chair asked, would the township enforce it? And the answer is no, the road department has personnel who are supposed to do that. And
Yeah,
So,
I was just pointing out from a practical perspective, going the other way with a heavy truck may be a practical impossibility, more so than even a legal impossibility. Because you're going to hit that cul-de-sac.
Are you talking about the traffic circle?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, traffic circle. The word cul-de-sac was in the prior one, so it's stuck in my head.
No, that's
And
fine.
the French origins of it have been racing through my brain. So.
It might be useful for our consideration to know more about plans for reconstruction of the road, the date, the timing, the design. I don't know if it's, we can get more information.
I can get that information for you.
And again, I would think that it would be in the best interest of the applicant to coordinate the timing
Well,
such that you're not limited by road closures due to reconstruction.
considering he needs the road department's approval before we approve his site plan, I would think that they're going to know their schedule, and they're going to make him coordinate with them. I mean, does that sound like a fair statement? Yes.
Thank you, sorry.
Thank you.
Question
Mr. Feller?
regarding, since access off of Hewlett is going to be on a private road, and private road does not fall in the jurisdiction of the in-county road commission?
That is correct.
So what provisions will be made that this particular right-of-way or access will be up to standards and not allowed to deteriorate?
They will have to, the 6 homes will have to be under some sort of an association. They'll pay dues, a homeowner association type scenario, and any improvements that they need to make will be on them.
So you're going to require the establishment of a homeowners association for this particular site?
They already have common land, so they have to.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't know if that's the exact verbiage that he'll use, but it is part of a PUD. It is going to be, there will be some sort of association.
Any other questions, thoughts, comments?
Is it possible that the road commission could just, or not road, what, Ingham County?
We know what you mean.
Yeah, sorry. Good, I'm glad. Like, what, could they just say, no, you can't build a private road here either?
They can say, no, you can't build it like that. They can tell you what standards it has to meet.
Okay,
Well, there are standards for building the private road, that is true, but the private road won't be under the jurisdiction of the road department. Where they're going to have control is connecting to their road system. If you want specifics on how those conversations have been going, I will turn the floor over to Mr. Jaguar.
Since we've already done public comment, I don't.
I think we can ask another question of the applicant if we wanted to, but I'm not sure.
But again, I come back to, we won't approve the site plan, thus he's not going to get his building permits if the Ingham County Road Department doesn't approve, and he's been in conversations with them, and there's an email in there, in your packet to that effect.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think in the past,
We're done with public comment though, so no.
in the past, in this instance, we've given the applicant a sense of the sorts of things we'd like to hear more about next time they come back to us.
Thank you.
And we might also remind our public that we will have public comment at the end of the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Both very good.
Really?
Good reminders, thank you. So I don't know if everybody heard what Mr. McConnell said, but that you've heard some of the things, Mr. Jaguar, that we are interested in knowing more about. If anybody has anything else that you'd like to add to that list, this would be a good time to raise it. And then for you, Mr. Carter, just know that our public comment for this portion of the meeting is done, the public hearing is done, but we do have another public comment opportunity at the end of the meeting if you have more that you'd like to share. Sure. And then nothing prevents you from, if Mr. Jaguar is willing, asking him questions directly, or coming to the next meeting at which this is considered and sharing your thoughts during the first public comment portion of that meeting as well, and hearing more about what, if we get answers to the questions we're having. So this will likely be on our next agenda, and there'll be this information and then any additional information that's been shared with us at that point in that meeting packet. So any other board members have questions, thoughts, comments to add to the list? We can do a straw poll.
I have one, sorry.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Mr. Brooks.
I'm always too slow here. I guess my request is some more detail on why, so we see the letters in the packet, or the emails were dated 2022, and I'm curious if there was exchanges after that we're not seeing, and some more details on why that lapse happened between approving it originally and now.
If you would like to ask the applicant about that, that's fine. The staff supplied the emails that were sent as part of the application package. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have, sitting in my office, reams of emails between the applicant and the departments. So I'm not sitting on those or anything like that. If you wanted more specifics, like if you want to know where they stand, how close, I think the allusion was made that the Drain Commission office is just wrapping up some details before they give approval. I don't know where the road department stands officially.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Shorkey. I wasn't asking you specifically, I was thinking of the applicant that could provide those details. And I agree with your second point, though, about having an update on where things stand more explicitly.
Is this something that can come back when we talk about this the next time?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
I would, I guess, entertain a straw poll if people are ready to share their thoughts on this. No?
I can't wait to hear more.
Okay.
Second.
Those who would be likely to support, say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed or any thoughts, comments?
I'm really looking forward to hearing more.
Okay, and this is not an official vote, this was just to get the will of the commission. We will look forward to hearing more, and this will be for our vote at our next meeting.
I will write you a resolution of approval. You may
Thank you.
approve it or not. I will also write you a longer, typically those second staff memos are pretty short. I'll write you a longer one. I will address these questions, see if I can get some more detail for you on some of this stuff. And if appropriate, I'll add conditions into the resolution.
Perfect,
Okay?
thank you very much. All right, and now we are on to unfinished.
Mr. Jaguar, you've been through this process before, but they'll vote on at a future meeting. It then goes to the board because they're going to make a recommendation. The board has final approval, and we'll be in touch.
Great. We have no unfinished business. We have other business. We have item 9A, off-street parking, section 86758, parking landscaping discussion.
Yes.
In my mind, that's to Hassel High School. I don't know.
This is an ongoing conversation. Go this way, make it smaller. Here we go. And that's the original approval letter for that PUD. Parking landscaping updates. We've discussed parking landscaping at previous meetings. Since then, staff has met behind the scenes, discussed previous work, because I said we've talked about this before we started talking to the Planning Commission about it. We have a draft ordinance update for you in this packet, and that is presented for your review. You've had it available to you now for a couple weeks. We can talk about it in detail, or you can take your time, read it, we can come back. But if you have any questions, I am here.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Are we ready to give direction to Mr. Shortfield?
If you are happy with that, with what you see in front of you, I can set a public hearing date. That does not mean that this is set in stone, of course. If I set a public hearing date and in the meantime, you see, hey, I'd like that to be 150 instead of 200 or whatever, then this is still a changeable form. You're simply setting a public hearing and letting the public know that you're looking at this officially.
Okay.
At this point, that meeting would be the first meeting in July.
Okay.
Keep setting notes down.
Right, so if you set a public hearing, it looks like this is still on the tentative agenda for our next meeting. If we had comments, we could bring those back to you then, or will you need to have something ready to publish?
It can be on your agenda as a discussion item at your next meeting. It will not be a public hearing.
Okay, if anybody wanted to come back, or like, oh, I didn't notice
I
this,
can,
but-
yeah, staff will leave it on there, and then maybe it's just it's a quick memo, hey, we
Okay.
scheduled a public hearing.
Okay.
I'll include everything that you see here, just change the date on the memo and update it, and of course, if you have any more comments, that's great, but it's not the public hearing.
As I recall our last conversation on this, I think it was just curiosity more than concern about any of the things that you had added, so.
Sure.
It seems like this is pretty non-controversial. If there are no additional questions or thoughts or comments, we can move on to the next other business
Okay.
item.
A couple of meetings ago, I told you that this was something that we were going to be asked to discuss. This is the regulation of roosters in the township. So here's the situation. Roosters are allowed by right, among other agricultural animals, in our rural residential district. Most of our property outside of our urban service boundary is zoned rural residential. We also have some rural residentially zoned properties inside the urban service boundary and quite close to some dense, single-family residential neighborhoods, which means we have people in the township who are keeping chickens, which there's a way to do that, but they're also keeping roosters. From a zoning perspective, we can't tell them, no. Our township attorneys have gotten involved in this. You see the language that they've provided on a potential solution, and now we're bringing this forward to you, and we'd like to set a public hearing for this. It essentially would say you can be zoned rural residential if you want, but you can't have roosters inside the urban service boundary.
And just to take a stab at this, the reason we don't want roosters is because,
They're noise nuisances next to,
Noisy.
yeah.
yeah.
Can we regulate the turkeys also, because they're also very noisy, and the geese, the wild one. Seriously, are any questions, thoughts?
How does this work? I guess, because are people like grandfathered in now? So you enact this and then suddenly they have to get rid of their roosters? How does that work?
Well, the way this would work is that if they would suddenly become nuisances and we could deal with it. We could say, no new roosters.
Yeah, I take issue with that. Not that I have any particular love of roosters, but
Right.
I have an objection to what you may call an ex post facto law or ordinance that comes in, regulates something that you have done for a while and may have purchased the property on the assumption that you could do. Like that.
It is not uncommon to create ordinances to address perceived or real nuisances retroactively.
Yeah, that doesn't mean I can't have an issue with it.
That's fair. That's fair.
And it certainly, I guess,
We
it's already
certainly
an
can't
identified
send,
nuisance, and it is allowed to continue unfettered,
right.
then
Right.
it could get worse, and then a year or two from now, you're not just a few people who are grandfathered in, but, the issue could magnify, I guess, would be.
Yeah, we certainly can't send our zoning enforcement officer out to deal with this because we have nothing in our zoning ordinance, so let's him deal with this. This gives us more avenues.
Is this like a high number of residences?
Well, that's,
that are
I
keeping roosters
don't
right
have a
now?
number of roosters in the township or anything like that.
I just wonder how many complaints are coming in. This is so
It's enough,
specific thing.
it's enough that we are being asked to schedule a public hearing on this.
I have a just general question about animals. So what's the difference between a rooster crowing and a really loud dog barking?
Well, dog barking would have a noise ordinance. That would fall under a noise ordinance. We could send our code enforcement officer to issue a noise complaint, a nuisance
Okay.
complaint violation. But it's not a zoning, my point being though, Commissioner McConnell, it's not a zoning issue. This makes it a zoning issue.
Could it be an animal control issue?
A what? I'm sorry?
Animal control?
You mean county animal control?
Somebody.
That's not where this is going. I mean, no one is assuming in Commissioner Brooks's, I'm not assuming in Commissioner Brooks's example of a barking dog that the barking dog is untagged and needs to be picked up by animal control and destroyed. It's
No.
just
That's
a little yappy dog that
Yeah, or a big yappy dog, and that they,
doesn't like UPS trucks or something.
yeah.
So in what you've provided in our packet, I was actually struggling with this when I read it earlier. I'm not seeing it in like a red line version. So what is actually, is that whole section that is saying it's being amended, being added? Because everything
It's-
else is unchanged. I don't see like anything.
I can put this into red line form
Okay.
for your next meeting to show you.
Okay, I didn't go back and compare and probably, I could have.
I apologize. This is just as presented to me by the attorney's office.
Okay.
I can make that in red line form for you.
It would be helpful.
But
Yeah.
if you look at this page, I will specifically call out, roosters are not permitted on parcels within the urban service boundary. That is added language.
Okay.
But I'll scrub that and make that
I mean,
readable.
if that's the only change and everything else is the way it is already, we had lots of talk about the urban service boundary when we were looking at the master plan, so we all know where that is. And how, when you're looking at an ordinance change like this, and we're doing a public hearing, obviously you notice it in township publications,
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
it would go.
It'll go out, it'll go out in Lansing Pulse.
Okay,
That is the highest circulation in Meridian Township.
okay.
Mr. Sharkey, if you would, I think it's the next page, there's a repeal clause, section 4 in the, perhaps it's the next document. Yes. Okay, this is maybe another pet peeve, but be prepared. In the repeal section, all ordinances and parts that are in conflict herewith are hereby repealed to the extent necessary to give this amendment full force and effect. I understand what the repeal clause is intended to do, but to me, it should be more precise of which ordinances that are potentially in conflict, because I don't like the broad brush of which may conflict. Like, if there's going to be a repeal clause in here, it should identify which specific ordinances, in my mind, are repealed and conflict.
I'll bring that concern up.
Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Curtis?
I just want to make sure I understand the process for us. We decide on moving forward with the amendment, and then does it go to the board?
It does.
Does it have to go through a series of hearings, public hearings?
Yeah, you will have a public hearing, and then you'll come back at the end of July, and you'll have, make a decision. That will be a recommendation that will be sent to the township board, and they have 3 meetings. They have a discussion, an introduction, and an action.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry. Okay.
Go ahead.
In the ordinance on page 54, maybe 55, or if you scroll up a little bit.
Okay?
Oh, go back down.
Oh, sorry.
Right there. So section B there, part 2.
Okay.
So is that new?
No, I don't think it is, because we do not allow roosters in the R triple, R double, and RA districts.
That was purposeful from the get-go.
Right.
Yeah.
So we said no roosters in the
Yeah, that's not,
area,
yeah.
right? And so it's
RR.
it's the fact that it's the RR within the urban
Yes.
service boundary. And I know you've said that multiple times. I'm just.
The RR district is intended to be an agricultural open space district, and we have residual parcels inside the urban service boundary that are zoned RR, that are next to, now that we've had years of development, and next to densely developed parcels.
I guess I wonder, just the follow-up to that, is the solution to make this one specific change for this one thing, or is it to make sure that there's no RR?
This is a way easier process than trying to rezone all the RR parcels inside the urban service boundary. And I would guess that this is going to be far less controversial. They achieve the same end, but staff would rather do this.
I hear what you're saying. Okay, I'm pausing.
Did I Did I hear you had another question?
I do, but.
I'm pausing.
Yielding the floor.
Gotcha.
To the
Sounds
gentleman.
so, that sounds
So
older than me.
there are some islands of RRs surrounded by urban. Will this really solve the problem at hand, meaning loud roosters and stuff like that, and people complaining about it? But you still have, and I get why you're doing it this way, but there's islands of RR, again, surrounded by urban. Will it really, I mean, you're still going to get a lot of complaints from probably those same people.
Not if they get rid of the roosters. This is specifically to address roosters. If there are other issues with our parcels, that is a different discussion.
So,
But that's not what we're getting complaints about. We're getting complaints about roosters.
right. So this will get rid of roosters in rural?
In the urban service boundary.
Within the-
3 lots.
Like,
Rural's
for
In the
example,
urban service?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
I got it.
Doesn't touch anybody outside the urban service boundary.
Okay. Okay, all right. That's helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
That clears it up.
To give you, to show you, I'll go back to the parcel viewer. I can turn on the urban service boundary and turn on the township boundary is on. Okay. So here's the township line here, and all of this is outside of the urban service boundary. And up here, all of this is outside of the urban service boundary. So if I turn on the zoning and I zoom in, you can see RR parcels, inside the urban service boundary, RR. These are not, I would submit to you that these are not agricultural parcels, that those are single-family residential parcels and probably ought not to have, I don't think the intent of the ordinance was to allow everybody here on Hazlitt Road to have roosters. That's why the distinction was specifically made that they're in the RR district.
Oh, now you're blowing my mind.
Me too. Are you sitting there wondering why that's zoned the way it is?
Well, no.
No, 'cause
I'm
I-
asking myself the question of why did somebody draw an urban service boundary that left this little nugget behind for us to deal with? That's what I'm wondering. And that'll come up at the township board, no doubt.
Precisely.
Is the Hewlett, or the Hewlett Road properties there?
Hazlitt.
Yeah, that's
Or
Hazlitt.
Hazlitt, sorry.
That's Hazlitt.
We were talking about Hewlett Road,
Yeah.
thank you. So those are all fairly close together. I'm assuming those aren't, do those either have a variance on them all, or?
No,
No, it's just
No.
weird that they're zoned that way, in my opinion.
Is there a minimum lot size to keep chickens at all?
40, the minimum lot size for what, I'm sorry?
To keep chickens at all?
No, not chickens per se. Our district has a minimum lot size of 40,000 square feet. Don't get caught up on the shape of the lots. We have a lot of lots like this in the township.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know.
But those houses are very close together.
Yeah.
They have deep backyards.
So the,
Isn't that the?
But my initial point was to show you where the urban service.
is.
yeah.
Could you show it to us in Google Maps? Put some imagery behind it?
Is that what that is? Is that the YMCA?
I can't
Yeah.
show you
It won't
the,
have the parcels on it, but you can.
That's wild.
It is. Because you'd figure
okay.
YMCA's got to be tax exempt, so why would you want something else?
So, let's see here. There's,
RR applied to all those.
that's Patriarch Park. Yeah, there's the lake.
If there's anything else.
This is all kind of the outside the urban service area-ish.
You can see the RR
This is,
colored.
Those lots that we were looking at, all the
Yeah.
fishbone lots.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right-
there's the
right in there.
YMCA and there's those lots.
So the houses are right up
Can you
against the
zoom a little
road.
more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is it not
That's like
possible?
Ever, is
Can
it
you zoom in?
Evergreen,
Yeah,
Everwood
sure.
subdivision, something like that? Evergreen, nice.
Wow.
Is that close enough? I mean,
Man, in that particular instance, I would think roosters within distance of a house. If it's at the back of your lot and a bunch of trees, yeah, that's one thing. If it's next to the house, waking out of my bedroom window, that's a whole different kettle of fish.
I mean, there is some wisdom in saying that's like, is there just a general noisy animal ordinance that could, like, I hate to target roosters. It feels,
we are not getting complaints about other noisy animals. We
I
are
mean, I
getting
can
complaints
start, my
about
neighbors have a
roosters.
loud dog.
Yeah. I know, what
There's
is
ordinance
up with
for
that?
dogs.
This is an ordinance to a specific issue,
Yeah.
which again is not that unordinary.
It was an issue when I was on the planning board in Lansing. That
Yeah.
people were starting to get roosters in the city, and that was problematic. So it's not unique to our area,
Yeah.
for sure.
How was it addressed?
I can't remember. It's complicated, it's because there are state laws around urban farming and what you can and can't do, so you have to, I'm sure this was very carefully crafted to fit within all of those requirements.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, this did come from our attorney's office.
I mean,
And we have public or township records of anyone who has notified the township that they are keeping chickens in the township. All right, that's the process.
Well, if it's an
You
official
notify-
going through and not just calling the director's office. Or getting a phone call, or for that matter, the principal planner's office. I mean,
plan for these?
but there is an official
Chickens in-
process where if they're going on the website, they can do an official complaint, yes.
No, permission. My understanding was if I want to keep chickens, I'm supposed to notify.
Oh, the other direction.
To comply with.
If you're zoned RA and you want to have 4 non-rooster chickens, there is a process for that, and that is contacting the Director of Planning Development, which is Director Schmidt, and letting him know you want to do that and getting his permission to do it.
And he probably writes it down.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I misunderstood the question.
It was poorly framed. I apologize.
I mean, this is just my gut intuition, is just like, this just seems like a ballot box issue. Like, if there's at some point, it can just be added to a vote, like, that just.
Oh, no. They're not a zoning issue, not a zoning question. This is a zoning text amendment. That's not a vote.
Okay, I don't know.
I get where you're going philosophically with this, but it is,
I mean, the proper way to change policy within a given governmental structure is at the ballot box if you can. And that's just where I perhaps am getting caught up here, but I'll own that. That's just me being me.
If we went down a path like this and then later on changed the urban service boundary, what would, to include these RR areas, what would be the effect of that?
you are not going to change the urban service boundary to include these RR areas. This is your urban service boundary. You're not going to bring the boundary back like this.
Oh, no, my assumption though was
Out.
that they were out.
They are not out, they are in. That's why I'm specifically
Sorry,
calling them
I
out.
keep like missing that.
But
Sorry.
if we were to extend the urban service boundary and incorporate RR
Yeah.
that maybe had roosters, but that would be a change to those people's ability to keep roosters if we ever expanded the urban service boundary, not contracted, but expanded it.
Hypothetically, yes, you're right, it would.
Likely.
But I
I
would
was going to
note
say that we had that
Yeah.
conversation during master plan, and I
Yeah.
don't think we had any appetite to recommend that. It sounds like we've all got a lot of questions and want more conversation, and it sounds like you've been given at least some direction to bring this forward. I can't.
This is correct.
Okay, so it sounds like we're probably going to have a public hearing on it.
I will bring this back for discussion at your next meeting.
Okay.
I will have a red line version so you could see exactly what is being proposed to be changed in here. I don't think at the end of the day, it's very much being changed. It's just
More the
addressing the issue.
implications of who is going to get changed.
Correct.
So are there any other questions, just to kind of wrap this up, any other questions that you'd like Mr. Shorkey to come prepared to answer the next time that we discuss this? Mr. McConnell, Commissioner McConnell.
Yeah, we recently had discussion of, I think we call them administrative changes to the urban service boundary and I think it's useful to reflect on that as we look at this.
What do you mean administrative changes to the urban service boundary?
Parcels that were inside that should have been outside.
You had discussions about the urban service boundary during your master plan update, and you made a series of changes, most of which were around, like Copper Creek, the next phase of Copper Creek
Thank you.
was brought in.
If we could get a refresher on that, that would be super helpful. Just to make sure they're totally different places, right? They're the spots that we're talking about here.
You had me mail 2 parcels on the northeast corner to ask if they wanted to be in and out, and I got responses on both of those, and just did the boundary, we, so, but if you want to see, if you want a review of the changes of the urban service boundary,
Thank you.
if that's what you're asking for?
Yes, please.
Any other questions or things that you want to make sure that Mr. Shorkey helps us understand better at our next meeting?
I just am insatiably curious as to why it's zoned like that. Can somebody, I really would like to know.
I think we'll find the comments on the township board.
I don't understand.
Yeah, a bigger question for another time.
Okay.
Thank you. Great. Thank you. Then I guess we have said all we can say on this topic for tonight. Thank you. Next, we're to reports and announcements. Item 10A, Township Board update.
The township, the parking ordinance update with the change in the updates and the parking numbers, that's moving through process. It was, it's been through discussion, has been through introduction at the board. I don't think it's been final approved yet. I'll have to verify that. I'm sorry. I was gone last week, so I'm still playing catch up a little bit. The other update I'll make, and this isn't so much a board update, but we have hired, I wasn't joking earlier, we have hired a new intern in the office. Her name is Annalise. She'll be here until the end of August, and when I get something I can throw at her to work on, I'll have her come before you and formally introduce herself then.
Thank you.
Does she have an interest in roosters?
She plays lacrosse.
Well, that's a solution.
Liaison reports. Anybody have anything to share from the board or commission that you represent us on? Okay, then we are down to project updates. I didn't see a list. Anything to
I
share?
don't have an update for you right now.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for your patience, Mr. Carter. We are now back to public comment again, so you can just reintroduce yourself briefly. You've got 3 minutes to share your thoughts with us. Thank
Okay,
you.
James Carter, 2296 Hewlett Road. The gentleman in the red shirt had some questions about trucks. Believe me, any truck that can go down Okemos Road can go down Hewlett Road. Despite that turnaround, I've seen semi-trailers, car haulers, cement mixers, you name it. They can go around that circle, so you'll constantly get the back and forth. The other thing, there's, as far as the county policing that, there's one, I believe she's called a road enforcement or something like that. One person for the entire county. And then the police in Meridian Township will police it, but it's impossible. You know, they can't be there all the time. And I've got a home office, so I see this stuff every day going up and down. And some of them are pretty cavalier. They don't care. And unless, you know, you get your arms around it, it's going to happen again when the construction starts down there by Jolly Road. So just some comments.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, and we are to item 13, commissioner comments. Do you have anything to share?
Tidbit from our earlier conversation.
Yes.
There have been some dog barking complaints that have come to the attention of me through my neighborhood association. And information I'm hearing is that the township is now responding to those complaints with a uniformed officer, a sworn officer. They don't, it's not code enforcement. They, but this is anecdotal from a couple of local reports, and I'm curious how that's working and what the approach is personally.
Thank you for sharing.
And I also think it's useful generally to hear more about code enforcement in the township as a planning commission. And we've asked sometimes for updates on that, and I think that, for me, I always find very useful. It changes seasonally, the high weed ordinance.
Yes.
And
Yes, tree branches over sidewalks.
But I think it's pretty straightforward to generate an annual report, so that's useful.
Thank you for that reminder about how we had been getting reports on that in the past. That was helpful information.
And we got those annually previously?
It wasn't a monthly thing, I don't think. I think, yeah.
I don't remember. I don't know if it was upon request or if it was at a frequency, but I think that is helpful to know, especially as you're asking us what we want to, when we're being asked to generate topics, sort of knowing what's there. So
Yeah.
if that's something that staff could do
You want to see that? I can get.
annually, just sort of what you're seeing or seasonally, whatever you think is more, that'd be a good intern project.
Yeah.
This poor intern is going to be.
Categorize all the
before she
complaints.
starts.
It'd be interesting though.
Just something that, sort of says, here's what we're hearing, or here's what we're not hearing, or here's what we used to hear, here's what we're hearing now, sort of thing. And then
Okay.
thoughts on sort of a cycle for sharing that kind of thing that
Okay.
isn't overwhelming to you and your team, but.
You don't want to see a spreadsheet. You want to see a page or two report summarizing, here's what we're seeing. Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we need the quantified data.
Yeah.
It's just more, what are you seeing?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are the trends?
The kinds of insights that you share with us on a lot of things.
Sure.
Generally, I think would be, that level of detail would be.
Let us work on it. I'm not going to promise you a date, but let us work on it. We'll get that to you in the
Thank you.
future.
And then if we have a meeting where there's time, we're not overbooked with agenda items,
Sure.
that would be fun to hear more about. Great. Anything else?
I have three things.
Okay.
One is, are public comments, or not public comments here, but are code complaints, are those public record? Or do those become public record?
You mean somebody specifically?
If somebody sends something to the township and says, I don't like the fact that this branch is hanging over the sidewalk at this address, is that public record?
I'm going to give a conditional yes, but I think it depends on how that complaint was received. Only look into that if you wanted something more specific.
Okay. I do. So I'm curious about that because I'm wondering if, just going out on a small limb here.
I see what you did there.
But one of the things that a lot of the ChatGPT large language models are good at are actually looking at text documents and then finding themes in them. And we could potentially do something like that. But I don't know if they're public record or if they are publicly available and accessible and probably getting gathered already by something like this. And I'm not recommending that we put all of that information in.
The reason I'm hedging is I don't know how our code enforcement officer logs that. I don't know if it's going into, I don't know if everything is going into a system or everything that rises to a certain level goes into the system. Do you see what I mean?
Yep. I think that goes in
I
this,
don't know
and
the
I'm also
specifics.
thinking about how to make it easier. So that's item number one. The second one was, I can't find the page of this now. There was something where I saw, oh, there we go. On page 51, Patricia Herring Jackson is mentioned as township supervisor.
Right, that was an old,
22.
like I said, that
Oh,
was, yeah,
okay,
that was,
sorry.
that would all be updated for the
Sorry.
public hearing.
And then my last comment is, so I feel like we've had 2 items the past few months where something was approved in 2022-ish, and then it lapsed, and then we've re-seen it. I don't remember if that happened frequently previously.
What was the other?
I don't remember what it was. It happened in the past like few months. We had one that came back.
It wasn't the Panda Express.
No, there was something else that came back from like an extension, I thought.
It might have been a car wash.
The car wash
Car
was a
wash.
new owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New
Yeah,
applicant,
it
but
wasn't-
same
Yes.
request.
So
It
that
wasn't that their SUP had expired, it's that it got sold and they made changes, so I had to reapply,
Yeah, so
if that's what you're thinking.
That's right. It didn't expire, but it went up to the very last moment. Anyways, okay. I just thought 2 doesn't make a pattern, but I was like, is something happening?
Post-COVID rebound
That's a,
relapse.
yeah,
Yeah.
like that, if there were other things like this that are sort of sitting out there or that we should think about in the future. Just throwing that out there.
Staff periodically looks at past cases, we'll look at 2023, 2024 cases, hey, what's going on, how are they at? We don't do it systematically, we do it when we kind of in a yearly cycle, at the beginning of the year, it's a new year, what's going on, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Thank you. Mr.
Second.
Towns, and second by Commissioner Brooks. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I.
Any opposed? We are adjourned at 8:01. Thank you.